And we are live. Welcome to Transformers the Show. In episode 173 of Transformers the Show, we're going to look at the latest Transformers news. Optimus Prime is in London. We discuss Robosen and Revenge of the Beast Optimus Prime. Rohan is out of his corner. He's in the show with our favourite sailor Pete. There's a pickups. There's loads more. There's a big discussion as what should Hasbro do next for the entry price point in Transformers toys. But now we're going to let Andy take the news just after this intro.
May I have your attention, please? This is the captain of your ship! I'm sorry. Please not this away! You left me broken hearted! But I never loved you anyway. No, I never loved you anyway. No, I never loved you anyway. No, I never loved you anyway.
Welcome back, people. So, as I said before, we've got an action-packed show today with two actually they're not wonderful guests. It's Rohan and it's
I don't know where you rate yourself in there.
we try to get so many other people, but no one would want to go on the show. But those guys said, "Yeah, we'll do it." So that was good. But obviously we're missing Paul. Paul's gone to France. He'll be gone for like 2 weeks, and I'm really disappointed. So I'm really hoping some tragic event in Europe and Paul has to come back early so he's here for the next show next week. So fingers crossed, people. Yeah.
I thought Paul was going away for 2 weeks of charity work. Like it was quite a selfless. He was like,
well, I'll tell you this: Fire is gone away apparently.
Yes,
and so is Paul. Suspicious.
Yeah.
Alexis, all the charity work is right here dealing with you, mate. Seriously.
Oh,
we started the show. Rohan's just fucked it. Paul and Arafat gone for a long weekend together.
So it's the young ones that are bitchy, isn't it? Yeah.
Kids.
Anyway, the news is just coming up.
I talk some TV, and now the news. Don't touch that dial.
Yeah, well, there's not a lot of news this week, so we're just going to chuck it all in together because why not, eh?
What?
Is it visible on the screen?
No.
Isn't it?
There we go. Yeah, so there really isn't much news. So here's the third party. I'm guessing, is this First Aid?
Yes.
It is.
From
MMC.
I like his grey colours.
It just says the information that Alexis just said MX-31 Paragon.
Paragon, which is a paramedic. It's First Aid. If this was mainline, they go, "Oh, is it Dead First Aid?" Because anything grey is dead in mainline. Because you got Dead Prime and Dead Prime and Dead Prime. But anyway, this is X-Transport's version of their medic First Aid, which looking at it, very panelly and will be an absolute bitch to transform, but will look awesome in its third triple change mode as a.
How many steps do you think he has? 50 steps?
It depends. Yeah, do you want to actually, Jamie? That's a very good question. I was thinking about my head, and I genuinely don't know how many steps there were before. If someone wants to comment on that in the chat, it'd be amazing to understand. Because they've released their Groove, which was
good advertising with it, like 50 Shades of Grey.
And they did.
His mind always goes straight.
And their Streetwise, which was fucked up unless you got the arms in the right place to start with. The whole thing was ruined.
Easy, just fuck it.
It'd be interesting, and because obviously Hasbro put in the box every time they do that, they put 17 steps, 24 steps, which is very good, right? I have no idea how many steps I've always wondered. Pete, do you know, Rohan, do you know how many steps a third-party Transformer normally has at all?
Let's look at Legends these days, and Magic Square tend to have around about 40 or 50 steps, don't they? So, it's a masterpiece figure. It's got to have more, sure.
Does anyone actually count it? Like when Hasbro say 24 steps, does someone go 1?
Yeah, somebody must do. They must do. That's a step.
There's always one
That's
person.
a step. Yeah. Anyway,
His name's RJ.
Maybe that'll be a
Yeah.
question at the next quiz. How many steps?
Maybe
did you
not.
transform that into? Maybe. And now we move on to Fans Hobby, Jetfire, and Fans Hobby, and they're calling it. I believe they're calling it Master Builder. The red convoy truck is transformed into a
Overload.
again. My Armada is
that's
very
his real
limited.
name, isn't it?
Mhm.
I sure wish I was seeing some comments on the screen.
That would really help.
Don't worry,
Hey.
Jamie. I'm going to do
Jamie.
it to make your life easier.
Jamie, I can't. Jamie, I have access. Jamie, I can't do StreamYard. My StreamYard's broken. It's just you.
Oh no!
I told you that earlier.
So it
I
begins.
can't do comments.
Oh well, let's carry on.
I can do the YouTube. I can't do the comments.
YouTubes.
I can do
Right,
YouTube.
You
I can't
can't
do StreamYard.
explain.
That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, I know
Jamie,
this one.
you're on comments. Jamie, you're on comments, and on.
It's literally the exact opposite of what you said before the show.
Yeah,
That's fine. Let's not a little thing like that.
We need a
I said I can
translator
do
for Alexis.
YouTube.
God
I
damn
can't
it,
do
we need a
comments.
translator and one who works.
He's 4 pints deep, people. This is just the beginning. Strap yourselves in. We're going full Alexis.
Oh,
So my
night,
dog
love.
This is-
just called me, and he
Oh,
just said I
no.
can't deal with the stress anymore.
Anyway, this is undersized knockoff Destron General Triptychon and full tilt. Who's making this?
For people who can't handle big toys.
When we say undersized, is it
Little
legend scale?
collectors.
So the original one's
No.
it's what 15 inches. So what is this? 6 inches? It's not clear. It's very there's limited information about this whole product.
Can you handle
I'll be
6 inches, Alexis? Will?
Oh, Jamie, you'll never know.
I'm quite
I-
pleased to consider 6 inches. Actually, I'll take that.
Is that a little
Yeah.
hiss tank on it?
So for those in the chat,
Yeah,
then,
it is.
Jamie will take 6
Yeah,
inches.
there's a little hiss tank there. Cool.
That is little his tank.
Yes, I know.
Is this just bullshit then? Because it looks like bullshit. Pete,
If it
any
looks like
information from
bullshit,
you?
it smells like
I mean,
bull-
they're highlighting full tilt. It looks like full tilt to me. No other product.
That's full tilt, and then that's his car mode. But that's
Yeah.
his tank.
So
And
it's
there's
all
also
full
they've got
tilt
little
that's
thing.
highlighted.
This is-
No,
That looks
It's
like a
under- it's
G.I. Joe
undersized.
tank, doesn't
It's
it?
undersized.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
G.I. Joe.
There's
Looks
little
like a
figure
hiss tank.
there. There's a
Looks
figure
like
in
a hiss
there.
tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The G.I. Joe is what, 3 3/4?
Uh,
It's oversized and undersized,
Well-
doesn't it?
What is going on?
who knows? Hey, who knows?
So the opposite end of the scale, though,
No,
there is
let's
No.
move on.
Move on.
there is the T. Lewin Metroplex.
Oh, it's my
and
favourite
then-
Transformer,
which
test
was-
shot.
which Ben's collectibles are going to have, and he also was doing
Great
the
name for a
version of
Transformer.
Triptychon.
Test shot.
Sorry, moving
He
on.
didn't last long.
This is a test, clearly a test
He got
shot
killed off in scene 1.
of X-Transbot. This is X-Transbot's version of
Punch,
this
counter
is-
punch.
Punchback. It's called James Bond.
Punch, punter, punch.
Punch.
Crunch, punchy,
Kevin.
punch.
It's,
Crunchy, punchy.
it's-
Oh,
it's
it's turning
called
into
James
that Theo
Bond.
episode now.
License
German.
to die.
It looks good. What car is this? What car is this?
Hmm.
I know it's supposed to be some. Wasn't it
It
American?
looks like a
type thing?
Chevrolet, yeah.
Is it a Chevrolet?
It's got a Lotus Elan look to the back end, but the front end's
Looks
got a
look
Chevrolet
like
look
that.
to it.
I thought
We
it was
truly
more
are
a.
top gear of Transformers.
Muffy
Anyway,
boy.
this is test shot, right?
Muffy
Who's
boy,
making this again?
Could you name the
X-Transbots.
product?
Sorry,
Could you
Jamie.
name the product which you're going to have up for pre-order? Because that way, when I click on the link, it kind of makes sense. Because they might think it's this, or they might think it's a midget Triptychon. Who knows?
Midget Triptychon. Vertically challenged Triptychon. Anyway, this is the Robosen, isn't it?
Mhm.
The Robosen Rise
Yes.
of the Beasts figure.
Is it an
does
action
look
figure
very good.
or is it a transformable figure?
It's non-transformable.
It's
Before we start calling it an action figure and a non-transformable figure, it's a highly sophisticated AI robotic robot, with highly engineered parts, with
an action master. Then.
Which doesn't
strength and
transform.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jamie,
And maybe I don't know, because it's got quite a high price range, which is quite surprising in comparison to the other ones that do transform, which makes me think, has this got even higher abilities than the previous ones that came out of programming and speech
But
processes?
should we be encouraging that? if he's got a higher level of function, should we be having it in our
Well, I'll
house?
tell you what.
Should
If
we
the
be
future,
concerned?
if the future comes,
Skynet.
I would rather face that fucker than Arnie T2. You know, so you know.
Well,
Jamie,
this guy about a
Optimus
foot and a
Prime.
half
Yes.
tall, so you've got more chance.
I don't think
Yes.
it matters, Jimmy, how high his level of function is, mate. With a faceplate, he's still not doing that like he's got. So, yeah.
Hugh's still going to throw it off his table. Let's be honest.
He's still at the
What?
what you want, mate.
That's what
Why
Robosen
have we
were
gone
going
that
for.
direction?
That's what Robosen were going for.
Jamie
That
wants
was
to
the
upgrade from a hand
number
job.
one point in the design spec.
I mean, Jamie, he can still do the
You
butt
must
flick
make
for you.
sure
Look at
you
the
cannot
hands.
fucking-
He's got the hands for you. He's got the butt plugs at the top there.
Number one
Fellatio
on the
Prime.
rules.
Fellatio Prime. He's got
Anyway.
lots of inserts there.
Lots of accessories, none of them. Well, he's got the articulated hands. It's on sale. Right, moving on. So
Moving
that
on.
does look very impressive, to be fair.
Fist
Uh,
hands.
Then this doesn't. So this is more like a kid's version of the Robosen stuff. This is an animatronic Optimus Primal, which Dave O'Ave and his posable nipples really confused me with. I think it was yesterday when he posted a picture of it in our Facebook group and said, "Andy, here's one for you." And I was like, no, definitely not. and then he meant he actually explained that he meant for Crap Transformer Corner. I was like, oh yeah, all right then. But then you see a kid will love this, possibly. I mean,
So
we'll
what's it
find
do?
out. When
It stands up and head goes like that. That's it, right?
I think if I remember that there was a video somewhere and it transforms itself and you might be able to control it from a phone or something, but it's supposed to be kind of slightly programmable.
What's
I
the
think.
price, Andy?
No idea, because I don't know if this
120
is actually
quid.
out yet or if this just was revealed
Well,
this week.
119.99.
Is it
119.99.
available from where, Pete?
Hasbro Pulse.
Ah, then I shall be avoiding that like the plague. But for those who want to blow 120 quid on this, knock yourselves out.
You will.
So
You
command
will,
and
you will.
convert. So you must be able to give it commands, and you must be able to. Oh wait, yeah. I forgot. I downloaded the description. Would you like to hear it? May as well.
Andy,
Optimus
do you
Primal
find-
is ready to roar into action at your command. The command and convert Optimus Primal toy automatically converts at the sound of your voice. Ooh. Unleash 100 plus sound and motion combinations with voice activation. And command Optimus Primal to roar, beat his chest, pound the ground, and more. I bet there's not many more. Available now on Amazon and Hasbro Pulse. Yeah, I even downloaded the fact that it was actually available. And all, of course, tied in with the new film. There you go.
I was
Rush
gonna
out
say,
there and pre-order yours.
Andy,
Or
do
buy
you
it.
find it ironic?
Well, I think
that-
Lee's pulled. He's quite happy
Was
about
it
this.
Andy, do you find
Boy,
it
do you.
ironic
Lee,
that
just so
spend
you know,
more
it's not a
time-
sex toy. It's not a sex toy.
you probably
I
spend-
I think he's
guess
talking about
anything
one of
can be-
us.
I think anything can be a sex toy with the right imagination, but I don't know.
Because
spend
the
more-
spelling
you
of
probably-
thick when you mean it in that sense, isn't that T-H-I?
You spend more time.
T-H-I-double-C?
You spend more time
Sorry,
reading
Irish
about the
spell in
statistics
English.
than playing with it.
That's probably true. Anyway, Takara and their repaints are doing another 2-pack from the Kingdom line. So you're getting Tigertron and Black Arachnia.
Whoopee.
There you go.
I
And then they
watched Kingdom the other day. Again, I watched the whole thing again.
That's
from
so
end to end.
interesting.
Why would
Alexis.
you do that to
We
yourself?
get on. We just move on.
Why
would you do
Because
that to
this is
yourself?
Second time
Alexis,
round,
Alexis,
second time round, much more appreciation. for it.
I understand that this is
Hoist
Chug
disagrees
news.
with this message.
This is when we talk about Chug stuff and we move on. You do the third party stuff. You do that. And, you know,
Stay in
just
your
move on.
lane. Nice.
Stay in your box.
Anyway, so there's it's Tigertron and it's Black Arachnia. I guess the paint's going to be better, but
But
Were they
it's
the
not
two Beast War
reduced.
figures that had a sort of like, into each other? Literally. No.
were they?
No,
I
it was
don't know.
Black Arachnia and Silverbolt.
Ah, there you go.
Oh,
Well, anyway,
I'm sure he
And
could
Ti-
do fine.
Tigertron and
put-
Air Razor were together, so there were two.
You can put
couples.
expensive
So do you think they've
lipstick
missed
on a
out
pig
then?
and it's still a pig, isn't it?
Yeah, potentially. Maybe they'll do another
Yeah.
2-pack of the other two, and they'll say you have to buy the
But-
both 2-packs to make
This
it
is
work.
Masterpiece, right?
swine.
Masterpiece.
This is Masterpiece Hoist.
It says
apparently.
Masterpiece,
It's a
yes.
low resolution picture because it's just been leaked or whatever, and somebody's got hold of it. Anyway,
It looks pretty
so there
good.
it is.
He was
pretty cool.
the mold looked better on him because he is. I've got the Masterpiece.
Trailbreaker.
Yeah, I haven't got him out yet. I keep trying to get him out and then I get distracted. So this it looks
I
alright.
wonder why.
Right.
It's because he's got. It's because he's got. Okay, so
we don't need a full explanation. This picture came
Fine.
via a site called Baidu. So that's why it's not a very good picture.
Truck mode, you can change over to more tune, and that's why I haven't done yet. I just don't do it. I just keep stopping there, but back and forth. So I want to get pictures.
It's getting very sexual
looks very
chat
dumpy,
tonight, isn't it?
The original one.
I think the sun's out. I think the sun's out. This is the weekend. It's a bank holiday weekend.
Here we go. Here's some news. Go on, Jamie. You can explain this one.
Oh, well, basically, I was walking around London in Leicester Square, meeting some family. And lo and behold, I noticed, because I'm quite observant, the corner of my eye, Optimus Prime trying to blend in with the trees. Everyone else was just walking by as if it was nothing, So I was trying to get attention, telling them it's Optimus Prime. No, no one listened. They just thought I was the one who was mad. But anyway, this Optimus Prime, he's the first one to be built. There was some more boxes, so I think they're going to be building. I think is it Optimus Primo and this other one, Mirage. So obviously didn't see them. Yeah,
it's Mirage.
Because I think they were in Chicago, weren't they? Because someone in the Transformers forum took a photo of the one in Chicago. So obviously they're getting built up. So they're probably all done by now, I would say. Although if it was British workers doing it, it could be another 2 weeks. It all depends on tea breaks and the weather holds out, for them. If it's Polish workers, it was probably done after I walked into the coffee shop and came back out, But yeah. So Optimus Prime's in London, people.
Did you get the feel, Jamie, that's like life size when you saw him? Like,
well, no,
he's not
because you can see
real.
people there.
So it's not like a compare, But he is quite big.
No, he's what?
Is he in scale? Is what you're asking?
Yeah. Is he like? What's he like? 35 feet?
He's on a plinth, mate. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean,
Primus on a plinth.
He's definitely not in scale when you think about Bayverse, because the Bayverse Optimus Prime was massive, bigger than the G1 cartoon. As a connoisseur of Transformers, I know this kind of stuff. But he's a very good sort of model, quite large, and it's quite cool, and it looks quite good, and it'll be good for kids to look at that and think it's massive. Alexis, you'll look at that and think it's fucking massive. People like me, Pete.
He looks at a lot of small things and thinks they're bigger than they are. It's just
how tall do you think that is? About 6 meters, because Prime's supposed to be between 9 and 11 meters, so it's not in scale.
Well, he keeps changing, doesn't he, Prime? Because if you look at the Bayverse, he kept changing in size and scale. And then
I just want to say I'm really glad you took that photo, Jamie, because it really dispels those myths that everybody in London's miserable. Look at those happy faces on those people. I mean, it's beautiful to see.
I was surprised as well. Oh yeah,
they're all just staring at you. Anyway,
you saw me leaving.
He's actually Optimus is transforming and rolling out to Bracknell next week for half term to meet the kids of Bracknell, because everything Transformer related happens in Berkshire.
Indeed. That's where I met him last.
Where all the films were set.
Ali G brings on the Berkshire massive.
Oh dear. Anyway, right, let's move on. TF UK Con are teasing us. So, so far, all we've had is this picture of some balloons. So I just thought I'd explain that in case anybody hadn't figured it out. And then this picture. Now, did anybody notice the subtle difference? Anybody? No. There's one less balloon. Well done. So we are going to have some kind of a reveal. This is all to do with TF UK Con, which of course we've had this year's. Next year's is going to be coming up. And we don't know what this is. So would anybody like to speculate? I was thinking it might be that next year
Megan Fox.
Oh, damn, Megan Fox. That's what I was going to say. Oh, Peter Cullen. Peter Cullen's coming. Why not, eh? Probably not. But it could be.
Who was that chick they tried to get on this year really hard and didn't get hold of?
Chick.
Lindsay Dawn McKenzie.
That one.
Well, actually,
now. She was there. Yeah, now.
Isn't she like old? Wasn't she old when I was a kid? I don't know.
I don't know who she is.
I know.
Oh, right. Oh,
sure, Rohan. Sure.
Maybe I'll send you
honestly, I don't know.
As the tissue stuck to your hand and you're like that.
Andy, your Jamie's looking for. Go back.
I'm not going to Google it now.
There are what six balloons here? There were 7, and there'll be 6, right? So is that a clue?
You can't do
Sesame
mathematical
Street
analysis
or
on it. There's
Transformers
nothing in the corner.
I mean,
This is
I'm
like
going to go out on a
catchphrase
limb
when you take
and
away a
suggest
square
that
and
the
there's
next-
nothing behind it.
I'm going to suggest the next picture is going to have 5. It's controversial, but I'm throwing it out there. Stay with me, people.
It's like that unlucky bastard that goes on catchphase though, and they go, right, I'll pick square 2, and there's nothing behind square 2. And it doesn't.
Christmas
think the
birthday
big-
party.
The big message is
unlike our
when
tickets
tickets become available for this, is to buy them early, people.
Buy them.
If you buy them early, then they can do so much more with the event. They can do so much more. You know, Graham can afford to have something underneath his kilt.
Yeah, and you wait to our quiz next year.
You mean clothing, right? You're not suggesting something else, are you?
No, not unless it's prosthetic. You know, if he wants to do it, it's up to him.
Is it a head-to-head between Chris McFeely and RJ?
Is that a thing?
In a winner-take-all quiz.
It's a boxing match. It's a charity boxing match. Chris McFeely versus RJ. With like after they punch each other, they have to answer a question on Transformers.
It was quite funny.
One's going to be tied up,
They're all the same
and it's
team,
not going to be
so-
Chris.
Oh dear. Anyway, so
if you're not sure about
Go on.
Transformers TFU UK on, watch
Alcohol is taking
video.
effect.
Was it video?
Yeah, the one that you kept going on and on and on.
It took
about.
effect 21 minutes ago.
That's the only way to stop him.
Anyway, yes, buy tickets. Watch Lily's video. What the hell is his channel called again?
I can't remember what it's called.
Time Toys.
It's what, sorry? No, not
it not
Graham.
Time
Not Graham and Primetime Toys.
Lee, you in chat
from TFUK Con, who has his own YouTube channel, and now I can't remember the bloody name. Lee, you're in the chat. Remind us what the name of your channel is.
But
Anyway,
you're the
he
one
did a
in
really
charge
good
of the
video.
fucking news. You could put up a picture.
Here's Lee. It's called.
Of a picture of what? I'm not putting a picture of his channel.
You
I
could
haven't got it.
take a screenshot.
His channel is called.
We've literally
Here's
just decided to
Lee.
mention it because Alexis
Why?
mentioned it. I can't magically make it happen.
Go
I'm
on.
not that quick.
Andy,
anyway.
use the power of technology.
I've looked it up.
I love
Rohan.
getting lectured on using the power of technology. Anyway, who was it?
Here's Lee.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also, Toys R Us
Look
did
up
a
his
nice
channel
video
on
it as
YouTube.
well.
It is good, and he's funny, and it's worth watching his videos. So if you haven't subscribed, get over there, you bastards. Anyway, that was the news, and it was thrilling.
And the news was just not wonderful.
How could that was our shortest news ever in terms of how many pictures we had.
I do apologise, Rohan and Pete. I do apologise.
I'll go find some more.
Actually, Alexis, you
No. when he said, "I'll go find some more," I assume he means alcohol. So we probably should just carry on. He's back.
No, I'll go find some more pictures.
I thought it was talking
you're
about
fine.
GoBots versus
So-
dildos again.
Actually,
See if you can find Lindsay Dawn McKenzie.
actually, I'm going to be moving just now,
Rohan.
just in case he does something racy.
Get us really kicked
I don't
up.
want him showing up naked in his birthday suit, Helicopter. No, Alexis, not now.
Maybe Dan, maybe.
I'm taking
that's
it for
what
a
it is,
spin.
strippers.
I can
It's
see.
not.
I can see. So basically, now we're moving on to pickups.
We now return to the Transformers.
And I have no idea why it's going to thingy.
Because the camera is always
Hello.
attracted to Rohan. Oh no, it's me.
Ah,
no, it's
Yeah,
me.
back to me. Are we starting with me?
Dance, Rohan.
Actually,
Dance
I'll
to
do it.
people.
I could sing.
I'm just going to stick it to this. Because it's all changed.
Oh, is it you?
Yes, I'm
on,
just
Jamie.
going to go. I just picked up some G.I. Joe figures, basically, and classified series. So I picked up Torpedo, Edward Torpedo. So yeah, that will be interesting to open up later. And I also
Is that his real name?
got-
Is that his real name?
As his full name, because his code name's Torpedo. He wasn't christened Torpedo unless his mum was quite, had foresight.
What's his surname?
you know.
What's his surname? Edward
I
Torpedo.
tell you,
what?
are you just going to search for him online? Is that your plan? You're going to go.
You an assassin?
Hi, I'm Pete. I like sailors.
And that's another thing. You said I was your favourite. What was the benchmark? What was the benchmark that you ranked me?
It was pretty low, Pete.
Because they're both
It was
about
Alexis.
to get wet.
Anyway, go on. You've got another one.
So now we've got Cobra, Copperhead. I actually have no idea what his first name is. I presume it's not Cobra, but he's just called
Bob
Cobra Copperhead. Yeah, Cobra Copperhead. And I don't know what his surname is either, but he's called Copperhead.
I'm not sure it's important.
I don't have his phone number either, just in case you're going to ask. But yeah, so basically that was my pickups, just Action Force stuff, and that was all.
Very cool.
Cool. I was wondering if you got a lot of that new G.I. Joe stuff, because I saw, I think it was Kapow or someone had put something online about having a load of new stuff come in. Did you get all of it or just some?
Well, I've been ordering through Hasbro Pulse. Because the thing is with Hasbro Pulse were no longer supplying, Hasbro Pulse UK are no longer supplying Kapow toys and in demand with G.I. Joe stock. So that means that Kapow and In Demand and other independents in UK need to get their stock from import stock, sadly. So it means it's kind of up in the air. Are they actually getting stuff or not? And it seems to be the case that they actually are getting stuff. So I think a lot of people will move from Hasbro Pulse again back to the independents, because they seem to be getting the stuff and getting it earlier. And people, they'll pay £2 or £3 more just to have it in their hands quicker. Unless they're Rohan, you'll wait 2 years for that £1 drop.
But you will get it cheap. Don't forget that.
I will get it cheaper.
He won't sell it cheaper, but he'll get it cheaper. And that's the important thing. I'm joking.
You've been to my corner.
Prices are very reasonable.
Hey, vulture.
Oh, dear.
And Rohan, what did you pick up this week?
Thank you, Jamie. It's been a relatively lean week for me this week. I just got the one thing, which is a very lovely Takara reissue of Generation 1 Optimus Prime, who is from about 2001. He has the slightly increased fist.
Make him big, Jamie. Make him big.
How do you do that?
You click on it. You drag him to the main screen. Drag him
by his
kicking and screaming.
No, I don't want to go.
You click on the right. You click on like the one person, and then drag them to that one, and then drag them to that. So you got the one. There
you go.
Let's see if I can get the light there. There we go. So it is in pristine condition, absolutely beautiful. The Takara version, as I mentioned, had the slightly bigger fist, so actually he can hold his gun properly. And also this specific figure, I've had a few of these in the past, and they've not come with this. I showed this off on TF UK. Came with this lovely brochure from circa 2000 when 2001 when RID was coming out, and so we've got all the RID figures on here, so you can see Megatron and Skybite. And, the Predacons, and then right at the bottom we got these really cool little Takara droid things and a little ant army of Infernos, which we never got out in the UK or the US or anywhere else in the Western world, which was really cool to see something different. And then obviously on the back you got more of those. So this is leading on to our topic for this week, so I'm not going to go too much depth. The only other thing I picked up this week was some new branding, which was absolutely fantastic and got some real fanfare. So I have to say thank you to Glyn, who did some excellent work for me. Glyn Fox, who's a fan of the show, and he put a lot of time and effort in and created me some lovely branding. So if you've seen it, thank you. If you liked it, thank you some more, and look forward to seeing more of it. That's me.
Click on the other view, Jamie.
It certainly is you, Rohan.
All Rohan.
All you.
The one second to right. No, next one. That's it. That's it. Second to right.
Okay, what have you picked up, Andy?
I picked up a cold and a cold beer. And that's it. I've had nothing else this week. Thank you very much.
Oh, dear.
Pete?
I picked up my TV off the wall, moved it, went to IKEA, bought some new shelving, as you can see. Thank you for the lovely comments.
Is that Besta?
Lovely.
Is that Besta shelving? Or...
Looks like Billy.
Yeah, it's Billy. Billy. So we've got Big Billy, and then we've got smaller Billy, but still as chunky.
I can see you went for quite excited colours there, Pete.
Then you got Alexis Billy.
Yeah, well, it complements. It complements the grey. I've got grey in the room.
Oh yeah, your hair.
In the room.
I like to, you know.
I mean, Omega Supreme looks grey, but
Who also likes white?
It's great.
I think it looks very good.
Thanks, mate.
I like your. I like
So
your
do the rest of the
turtle
sailors.
shell.
Well, you know what? I think Pete's got remarkable taste for an old man. That's amazing. I think this is
wow.
I like your Spider-Man and your. I like your turtles and your Super Shredder as well.
Thank you.
It's a lovely display.
See, that's how you say something nice, Jamie. All right. Don't start being ageist.
I think you're lovely.
All right.
Isn't
your razor.
No.
Is there anything else you picked up, Pete? Something interesting rather than fucking units?
You're going full Alexis on that one.
I got some weed and feed for the lawn. That's about it, really. That's about
stuff.
Oh,
adulting.
Andy, next week we don't invite him back. Remember?
Fucking disastrous.
And here
I have bought some stuff, but it hasn't come.
I've got a nice doorknob. It's really good in the varnish. It's so shiny.
You didn't give Andy any shit. All these guys are cold in a beer.
Yeah, we've done this for fucking 3 years, mate. We've had lots of shit.
Yeah, I've done my time, Pete. Welcome to hell.
What have you got, Alexis?
Make you big.
Quickly, 2 times speed.
Be big. I bet that's what he says every night.
There we go.
Do you know what's really funny? It's the instructions Alexis gave doesn't work at all, but I just figured out what to do.
Hey, perfect instructions. You just need to listen.
No, they weren't. You just click on it. It says solo. That's it.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Can we have this argument off there?
Move on.
Yeah, we fucking will. Right.
Oh, it's finished.
Preferably when you're both sober.
No,
So it doesn't last all night.
Emotion there. There's far more logic involved.
Pickups.
That's no fun at all. Anyway,
Oh, he's finished. Move on.
Oh my god.
Oh, is that the drink?
No,
Is
that
that
was
the
the
drink?
empty one. That was the empty one.
Oh.
Right, Jamie, it's your fault. It's the
Paul,
girl.
come back.
I've got the new age. And I love how they've got like a little statue of the girl of Paraglide. New age Powerglide. I mean, she looks amazing.
Which doesn't come with the Storia, by the way, which is
No, but I do have that.
Lies.
I think does she come
What
with
day,
DX9?
Alexis? You keep put on a
DX9.
yellow dress and just.
I've got
you
DX9's
recreate
version,
it.
so I will sell a DX9 version without Astoria, as you said there. I'm also gonna have a bit of a brawl tonight because I've got.
Hey, Swindle shipped today, so you should have Swindle coming soon too.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, my Swindle shipped today.
I ordered from Megalock, so.
All right, so you're behind the times then.
Exactly. I am 19th century.
Sassy Rohan.
So I've got a brawl. I've got a brawl as well.
1976.
Okay. What's there? I've also got a Kang Toys. I've got a as Arafai would say, a hunger rhino.
It's really nice looking at cardboard boxes.
Is that the mini one? Yeah, I was going to say that's the mini one.
So no one got
the shipping box is the most exciting part of any toy.
Rohan, you get the joke. Hunger rhino.
Hunger Rhino.
Remind me next week just to come on with some old shipping boxes, and I'll just pretend I've bought loads of new stuff.
That's what I should have done.
I know, you just can't get enough shipping boxes. That's what I've always said.
I keep them in my
because
lot.
we don't keep a supply of them on the floor. Alexis has many. Winston sees.
All right, here we go. Here you go.
Oh, he's opening it.
No, this is not unboxing.
Oh,
This is
move on.
God damn it, we opened the door.
Yes.
Don't panic.
And then he fell through it.
Are we guessing what it is? Who's gonna guess?
It's
Not
I'm
Rohan.
guessing
Hunger Rhino.
Pan Toys Mini Rimini.
Hunger Rhino.
What's that?
We all know who it is, mate. It's
Oh,
from.
here we go.
There we go.
Yeah. It was written
Pan
inside the box.
Toys. Oh, I found my. Remember, I said I lost my dive bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's up on the it's up there.
Oh,
next to Scorpodok. I was walking in the room.
Was he there the whole
I
time?
was like,
Hashtag too many Transformers problems.
No, well, maybe.
Too many something. I'm not sure. It's
Yeah,
Transformers.
hashtag too many beers problems.
Yeah.
You definitely have more than one.
Yeah, the oh, Pete, you can't come around and see the fun tank because the fun of the divorce is at my mum's place. With the box wouldn't fit in the loft. I couldn't put it in the loft.
I love the idea it's sitting on your mum's living room table or something. You just take it up from the table.
The
Centipede.
Can't you sell it? I went, yeah, I could. I haven't taken a picture of it yet. And go,
dear.
they go, can you take out this big box? I went, I could, but if I took that big box, I wouldn't be able to sell it afterwards. Oh, so like, it's too big to fit in a loft, so it's going to mum's. Now in a spare and spare loft.
Only for you, Graham. Only for you.
We've got Fans Toys recorder.
Okay.
Which? Why does that move? Why does that move?
Well, it did used to record. Now it doesn't anymore.
No, it's okay.
There's an offer from Charlie. We'll all get boxed up.
And...
Boxer.
We got space. The fun of the divorce is now off the desk, so thanks for that. And I have space up there. And then last but not least,
Gee, it sure is boring around here.
it's nice that you found the fucking button. It's nice that you found the button.
What is
It's
it?
not the
Cut
first
it.
time you've had an
Open.
SD in your hand, is it?
Alexis
Another
giving
unboxing
James an
exclusive.
That's nice that you found a button. Brilliant.
Oh, it's Split Swing.
Oh, is this
Star
the
Toys.
Star action figures or whatever it's
Star
called?
Toys.
I did a review of this. It's a really nice figure.
It's a lovely
did?
figure.
How long ago was that you did that review?
About 2 weeks ago.
was
I've
it?
got it lined up. If we have time, we'll show it on the show. If not, you go to my channel.
Oh, we
and
have
check it
time,
out.
Rohan. Don't you worry.
I now build up all my figures and just post once a month. So this is 1 month. So I don't tend to do one more than once a month. So
Nice.
I'm looking for this. Is something I'm
Is
excited about.
that so they're in one box so Sam doesn't realise how much you bought?
No,
Well,
Just
it
asking.
depends on the size of the box,
No.
doesn't it?
Consolidate the beatings into one evening.
we're ring,
1 monthly meeting instead of weekly one.
no. So I'm genuinely quite fine because Sam doesn't have any interest in Transformers. But when she walked into my office after I managed to hide the Fun of the Divorce box, she walks in
Dear.
and she went, "Oh, what's that?" She went, "Fun Tank." She went, and she likes Fun Cats, so she knew what it was. She googled Fun Tank and realized how much it was. And then
Oh dear.
I'm now back in the bedroom this week. So 2 months on 2 months.
I think you were out for different reasons, though, mate. I think the fun of tank was just an excuse.
So
It may have been a cumulative thing rather than just a
Well-
one. All right.
all right,
Thanks.
let's not pull at that.
Let's
Fred.
not pull at that string.
Well, thanks for that,
Thing.
Alexis.
Yeah,
It was wonderful to
Andy,
see your
like I
pickups
have a
and some
fucking string.
actual unboxes. That has been great. Just before
which one
we
do you
go
want?
into
Who do you want?
Rohan's
If you want one,
picture, just before we go into Rohan's video, just going to do just a quick picture just to show you. I didn't really pick up anything this week, but I was just working on sort of a picture and just having fun with Bumblebee, Buzzworthy, Cybertronian, Jazz, whatever his full name is. Those names are just getting bloody ridiculous, aren't they? They're just getting massively long. Yeah, but so there's there with one of the Insecticons.
Amazing.
Can you guess who the Insecticon is?
Shrapnel.
You can see that with more enthusiasm, you prick.
Shrapnel. It's shrapnel. I'm so excited.
Anyway,
How do you get it to make it look like the wind is going through the grass? That's absolutely stunning.
Milan, blow, bitch, blow.
Oh God, I hope she
I'm gonna have
watches
to
this.
cut that. If she watches that, I'm so dead.
Jamie licks the grass a lot.
Alexis, cut that bit out later.
I'm sorry, Milan. They made me do it. It's not me.
Jamie just licks grass all day long.
Oh God, I'm so dead. So dead.
Enjoy your last
Anyway,
few minutes.
Fingers crossed this is actually Rohan's video, not something else for my viewing pleasure. So
Jamie, can I say one thing? Jamie, this figure here, I think this figure, chat, tell me if I'm wrong, this figure's just come out like today.
No, I got it like last week and did a review last week, you moron.
But obviously, Alexis, you really do pay attention to Rohan's videos. And
Oh, I haven't got that far
an
through
avid watcher and a
the.
good friend.
I'm not that far through the show yet. I'm still watching last week's show.
Okay,
still
Rohan's corner. Rohan's corner.
Oh, he's there.
Yes.
Who is this super YouTuber? Is it Paul, the Joy Toy Collector? Andy, the Newcastle United fan? Jamie, the GoBot hater? Alexis, the salesman? Rohan, the man with the plan and the Wall of Fame? Might just be Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye. Oh, he's so fly, a groovy guy with a beard that just won't stop. When the bots get rough, he's super tough as third party cleans up. Rohan's Corner, Super Transformers guy. Rohan's Corner, poking Hasbro in the eye.
Welcome to Blitzwing headquarters. And in case you missed it, welcome to Rohan's Corner, where this week we will be doing our Through the Generations review of none other than Star Toys Blitzwing, the first good masterpiece and any other scale Generation 1 Blitzwing toy. So let's get into it. Alright, so we start off as ever with the packaging, which is of course vast. I'm not used to doing these masterpiece scale reviews, obviously. It's a nice purple and yellow design. This is the first release from Star Toys, and if it's anything to go by, I will possibly be getting more depending on the characters. I love the little artwork design sketch of the engineering of Blitzwing across here in the background. Unfortunately, as you can see, my box has suffered some damage. He's called Commander GASTO1, not particularly interesting, yes. On the top it just says Star Toys. On the side we get a nice homage of the jet mode and its design blueprint and Commander, and again on the back we get the design blueprints. These look more like the Generation 1 toy in the sense that he's very wooden looking. Lots of cautions and foreign language as you'd expect, made in China, and please recycle the box. And that's about it for the box. On the other side we have the tank mode, so that's cool. Inside the box you get the Star Toys card with a QR code for where to see the instructions, because there are no instructions included. And you get a nice big clamshell with Blitzwing in it. I've taken him out, obviously. He comes with his gun and his sword, which I'm not bothering to use, and also one spare face. And he comes with one spare grumpy face, which I've already traded out for this sort of standard face, if you like, and I'll show the grumpy face on him, obviously, later. And here is the big boy out of the packaging. One thing to note, when he comes in his robot mode out of the packaging, his heel spurs are not extended, so you do need to extend them to get some stability when you're posing him. But he looks absolutely fantastic. And let's just bring him a little bit forward. We can see a very G1 toon aesthetic going on across the board. The purple pops really nicely with the yellow and the red on the head and on the chest. It's a very clean toon aesthetic look. And obviously he has the ability to hold both his iconic weapons with extenuating fingers and thumb, with articulation on all of those aspects, which is really cool. For me, this is the absolute best incarnation of the Blitzwing robot mode we have seen in any toy ever made. Posability is really good, but it is hindered a little bit by the obvious backpack and transformation elements. But see, it feels really nice. There's die-cast parts, there's ratchets pretty much everywhere. Then here's a look at grumpy or shouty face. I much prefer this look. It's very easy to swap over the faceplate. Taking a look down the side, he cleans up really nicely with some sculpted work done on the wings, on the side wings, on the treads, and on the weapon here on the back, which is cool. We twist him around to the back, obvious backpack, a little bit of panelage there that you can see some transformation elements, obviously the wheels, but overall it looks pretty good. And if you compare this to the other Blitzwings we have out there at the moment, I would say it's still 100 miles better and the best. Paint apps are good. There is a difference in the paint between the sand yellow here and the whiter color on the thighs and on the waist here, which works for me. It's not hugely different, but slightly different. Okay, and so here we have a flurry of blitzies, and as you can see, the fact that I've got 5 of them shows quite how much I am a fan of this character. But in terms of the execution, we can see it's never been done fantastically, especially the robot mode. Generation 1 Blitzwing was great in both alt modes, but the robot mode left a lot to be desired. The updated versions we had were obviously the Generations version, which more IDW styled, and so I didn't even bother. I think I did buy it and then I sold it on quite quickly, followed by the Titans Return Legends version, which looks okay, but again, I find it's very stylized. It's not Generation 1 aesthetic for me. It has a lot of kibble and bits and pieces all over the place on it, as you can see. Followed up by MechFans Toys, which was, until now, my favorite version of Blitzwing. Still, comparing him with Star Toys, he's definitely nowhere near as clean as Star Toys in terms of the legs, in terms of just the amount of kibble that you can see around the figure itself. And also, it is more restrictive in terms of the articulation than Star Toys as well. And of course, we have Legacy. And when Legacy first was shown off and we first saw him, everybody loved the robot mode. And I think the paint applications on the Legacy version are really good. But ultimately, I think they're trying to cover up something that's missing there. And here we have the comparison with some other robot modes for third-party and Hasbro toys. On the right-hand side, we've got Pangu Toys Legends Scale Omega Supreme, who basically is the same height as this Star Toys Blitzwing. So, yeah, there's a bit of a correlation between the Masterpiece Deluxe, I guess, scale and Legends kind of combiner or large kind of Titan scale, if you like. I don't know if Omega's considered Titan. He's not really, or Citybot. And then on the left, we've got Earthrise Snapdragon, who's about half the height. MechFans Toys Snarl, also about half the height. And down the front, we've got Rising Forces Wild Rider and Magic Squares Huffer, who are obviously much, much smaller. Now, Shifter be smashed! And so we have Blitzwing in his wonderful tank mode. And you can see it is huge. I mean, not just is it huge, it's so wide, it is quite deep. The turret is excellent on there. You can maneuver it. It goes up and down. You can retract it. You can extend it. You've got the front end cockpit, which Hasbro tried to do and failed at. You've got the tracks looking pretty good there. And the color scheme is all right. You've got the sand and the purple tidies up quite nicely. There is little bits and areas where there's a little gappage, but you can forgive that, and obviously you can see some exposed screws and some exposed holes, but it is a triple changer and you're never going to get everything on this triple changer. But I really like it. I think it looks fantastic, and the transformation is hard. It's complex, it takes time, it takes patience, but it actually makes sense and everything fits together quite nicely and pegs in well. The only thing I will say is that the pegs can be pretty tight. And unfortunately, on my copy, I've already managed to get one peg stuck and snap off here, as you can see. So I would recommend a lot of patience with that. Also, one further thing, if I just disconnect the tank turret here and show you the underneath, there is a molding error here. As you can probably see, the bottom of the turret, this area here which is empty, it doesn't really make any difference because you can't see it in any of the modes. I think it could do with some stickers or maybe a couple of lights like they had in the G1 show would have been nice in this area here just to close all of this up. There are bits where you do have to keep fiddling with the connection just to make sure it's all tabbed together, and because I've lost that tab there, this side doesn't quite tab in as it should, but you wouldn't actually notice because it all holds together really solidly, really well. Right, let's get Star Toys in with his G1 style Blitzwing tank brethren then. We have, of course, the original Generation 1 Blitzwing, whose tank mode still stands up and stacks up today. Technically, it should be the other way around for the cartoon, but this is how it shows it on the instructions, so you can have it either way, really. I suppose you could do that with most of them. We've got Legacy, who has the protruding cockpit issue, and obviously has the thruster issue at the back, showing off a few gaps in him as well, but is okay overall. Mech Toys, which up until now was my favorite tank mode, but again it has the exposed thrusters at the back, a little bit of gappage here on the front. Other than that, actually cleans up quite nicely. And then the Hasbro Legends figure, which has a little bit of jet and thrusters at the front of it, a big jet cockpit hiding underneath the tank, a turret there, and yeah, it's okay. It's not great anymore. So ultimate winner by far is Star Toys. I do think McFans Toys is still pretty good for the size though. And so a quick alt mode, tank mode comparison with some others then. I had to get the Kingdom Warpath to do a tank on tank comparison. We have the Fans Toys KO of Astro Train over here, Toy World's B, who's a lot smaller, the New Age Outback, who is pretty diddy, Magic Square's Hound and Magic Square's Jetfire, and the Velocitron Hauler. He's obviously a lot bigger than most of those. He scales really well with the Fans Toys KO Astro Train, obviously. Come on down, Otto Brat. Sometimes it's better to be known for one's enemies. Alright, so I've done the transformation to jet mode from tank mode a couple of times now, and actually it's not too difficult once you get the hang of it. It's a little bit like Fans Toys Astro Train in the sense that you need to mess about with the arms, the wings, the chest, and yeah, it gets there in the end. It's not too unintuitive, to be honest with you. And actually, it looks fantastic in jet mode. Let's just have a quick look. It's a very clean look on the top here. The only really bit that you might complain about is some of these holes and the likes for the transformation, but ultimately it cleans up really well. There's no real gappage. There's a couple of small holes that you can see through there. It looks absolutely stunningly like the animation model in the sense that you've got these built-in missiles which need to be removed for transformation, which is quite cool and clever, and landing gear that works, and he rolls really nicely, and really big thrusters on the back. The turret has been nicely concealed, unlike every other incarnation of Blitzwing ever made. You can't really tell it's a turret. It's there, you can see it inside, but you wouldn't have thought it is the turret, and it gives you a little bit of undercarriage, but not anything massive. There are a few niggly bits like the thrusters. They don't seem to want to stay 100% together, but it's not that bad. And you can see some of the tank treads, but that's part of the animation model as well. Everything else is pretty much spot on. And so, bringing in the usual suspects, we have again a Legacy Blitzwing, who obviously looks fantastic from the top. Lovely purple paintwork. The yellow goes well, but then you look at the undercarriage and you look at the tank under there, and it's just horrible. Even in the fan-made third-party modes, it still doesn't really match up. MechFans Toys Blitzwing in his jet mode is probably the weakest of the three modes, but it's still decent. I like the inbuilt weapons, just like on Star Toys here, and it has the right shape, it has the right clean look. The tank is still obviously present there, just as the G1 one was all those years ago. And again, G1 and Star Toys look quite similar in design. The paint apps and everything look pretty much spot on. Again, it's got the tank turret underneath. And lastly, you've got Legends Blitzwing, who not really the right color for me, but yeah, hey, comes with a little Titan Master, a little bit of undercarriage. You can see the arms there, which is not the best thing in the world, I would say. Ultimately, it's okay. Again, the tank turret, which has become sort of synonymous with the character, I guess, over the years. And lastly, for comparison, I've brought some other jets to look at next to him. So we've got the Kingdom Cyclonus, which is actually quite big and might actually scale not too badly considering Blitzwing was a big jet. We have the G2 Cyberjet at the back there, much smaller, this Siege Micromaster. MechFans Toys is Astrotrain, which is obviously tiny, and then the shuttle for Astrotrain, the Fans Toys KO, which is smaller actually. And yeah, I mean, Blitzwing doesn't look like he would fit in the back of that shuttle any day of the week. Obviously, there's some issues with the magnitudes of scale, but ultimately they do line up nicely next to each other. Right, okay, so to wrap up my final thoughts then on Star Toys Blitzwing, I would say it's a great bot. I love all three modes, are absolutely nailed in terms of the animation aesthetic, as close as we've ever had. For about 120 odd dollars, I think it's a good price for the first attempt from this company. It's not bad. There are issues, obviously, as I mentioned, about the tabs and the quality control is not quite there, but ultimately it's not bad. It's not Hasbro levels. And in terms of the paint apps, I quite like it. I know a lot of people are complaining about the toon aesthetic, but that is what it is meant to be. So it does a good job of that. And there are some nice touches, like the built-in weaponry and the turrets are really well designed. So I recommend him if you're into Masterpiece scale, or even if you're like me and you just love the character, then he's a must-buy. I would recommend the TM Reviews video instructions on transformation, because the official instructions on transformation, which is a video, are not brilliant. And so definitely go check that out. That's where I had to watch the transformation several times to be able to get it through. And yeah, no, once you start doing it a couple of times, you get the gist of it. It's pretty cool. So that's been Rohan for another week. I hope you've enjoyed this Through the Generations review of Star Toys Blitzwing. Join me again next week, where I may have another review for you. Back to the studio. Transformers, Rohan's in disguise.
Good job, Rohan.
Well, thank you, Rohan. That was excellent. You know, I'm a bit worried my beard might have went grey, but hopefully
You can't say it wasn't thorough.
Hopefully that's not been the case.
No stones left unturned.
That's one question though. Can I ask an observation question with Rohan, right? Because Rohan's not a natural. And again, Rohan,
ask a question. Go on. Yep.
You're right. You're not a natural MP collector, but you do dabble in like Furbucks. You love triple changes.
Yes.
You mentioned in there the first time it's very hard transforming. At the end of it, you're going, actually, it's not too bad. Yes. Would you agree with my theory that once you do transform an MP figure back and forth once or twice, it's not as bad as everyone perceives? It's actually, it's quite enjoyable. It's quite enjoyable. You go through the process.
Yeah, I'm sure Unicorn feels like that.
The only thing I would say to that, Alexis, is muscle memory. When you're doing it over and over again, you build it up really quickly, and it's great. Now that I haven't done it for 2 weeks, I can't remember half of it. So it's like, well,
I reckon you would. I reckon once you start going through the motions again, your muscle memory will kick over. Like, give it.
We still talking about Transformers. Just go through the motions.
You go back to getting your beard grey.
You know, you get
going
there.
through the motions again.
It's like riding a horse. Sometimes that is a horse, but yeah.
Oh, let's not go there. Anyway,
right. So Rohan,
yes.
Foreplay. What was the foreplay you wanted to do?
Oh well, so foreplay. I'm actually going to ask Pete. Pete, you talk about the foreplay, and I'll talk about the discussion if that's cool.
So foreplay was your favorite item of your Transformer collection that isn't actually a Transformer.
Awesome.
Transformers memorabilia.
These are sex people.
What do you mean?
They're sex swappers. Lynn, this is DEFCON 1. Look. Look. Don't make the same noise as them. Don't think you want to join in.
Okay, Rohan, take it away.
Hey, thank you very much. Now, those of you who follow the show and also follow my channel will know that I am big time into Transformers memorabilia, having collected for like forever. So I've got loads and loads and loads of things to talk about, but I haven't brought them all down because there's way too many. So you saw a couple of weeks ago I did a video on tactics, which are shockingly bad, but you know they're part of the collection. I've got loads and loads of I could just hear laughing in the background. We've got loads and loads of books, and obviously you've all had the lovely experience of listening to Dinobot War. I've got all of the collection of those books and the Ladybird books and all that kind of good stuff. And then do you remember probably 2 years ago now I did a review of the Transformers Risk game. I've got 3 sets of Transformers games, including the Armada one, which has got really cool figurines in it, stuff like that. So there's loads and loads of bits, but the ones I brought to show you today are, oh, it's a bit of a heavy bastard, is, who remembers this?
I've got that. I've got the Vault of Icon.
That's it. This is the Metrodome collection of all the original DVDs, and I've even stuck Transformers the movie in there as well because
I got that.
There you
Does
go.
That count? Does that count?
Yeah, of course it does. It's a non-transforming thing. That's part of Transformers. So this is awesome. The fact that it came in a metal tin and it's ruddy heavy, but it keeps everything encompassed. And I know I never watch the DVDs, even though I have them. Who does? But it's cool to have. And they had really nice artwork in there. As well as that, I've got good old Slumblebee. If nobody's ever seen these before, I had both him and Optimus Prime, I think he was called. And
you're making this shit up now, right?
I'm not. Honestly, I got them from Hasbro when I worked at Hasbro. And believe it or not, I'm going to do well, technically, he doesn't count, does he? Because he transforms shit. I'm going to do a live transforming. Let's not break him. Let's get him out. Come on, transform Bumblebee.
Even Rohan's going full Alexis.
That's it. It's got to be done once in a while, eh?
Yeah.
So
while we're doing
we're
this,
allowed to choose multiple
that's
things.
actually quite clever. That's actually quite clever.
Yeah,
That's actually quite clever. That's actually quite clever.
My one favorite piece of memorabilia is all 17 of these pieces of memorabilia.
Yeah.
That looks like a car after a serious accident.
And that one actually transforms.
Yeah. Okay, and I have 2 more things to talk about.
Oh my God, he's gone full Alexis.
I've got full. Jamie's going to share some photos for me. Now, this is signage from when I worked at Toys R Us, and I was lucky enough to take this away with me, and I still have this at home, which I just put up on display. And Paul at the Space Bridge, for those of you who know him, loves this kind of stuff. His shop is full of it. And the second one, Jamie, if you don't mind, just
sorry, go back. Sorry, what's the symbol in the middle?
We don't go back.
It's the mini-con symbol, mate.
There were 3 symbols. There was Autobot, Decepticon. Which one was it?
It's the mini-con symbol. If you remember,
the diamonds,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
And then this. Does anybody know what this is?
It's a DVD stand.
Oh, close.
No, it's the game. Yeah, it's the game. Isn't it?
That is right, Pete. Do you remember which game it's from?
Full Subtron?
No, it was just like something like Transformers Armada or something.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Transformers Armada on the PS2. Again, I got this from Toys R Us. I've stuck it in the back of my little Nissan Micra, and there you go. Andy's got the actual
it's not called
game.
Transformers Armada. It was based on Transformers. They just call it Transformers.
Yeah.
So have you actually got the game, Rohan?
I do have the game, yeah, but I only have 1 copy of it. I don't have enough to. I used to put figures in this little display box and put it on display, but now I've had to get rid of it because it's too big. But
it was savagely hard as well. That game was savagely hard.
Yeah. That's me.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Pete. So what have you got to do?
Right. So I've gone. I haven't gone full Alexis. I've gone 25% Alexis. So
Pete, you got the wrong way because the Prime is on the other side of you, mate. That's what I like. Your Prime there, your big Prime.
Oh yeah, but everyone says that.
Yeah. Well, where's he from? Where's he from though? Just say where's he from. Honorary mention. Where's he from? I'll allow
it. He was from a collector. I bought him off a collector from Wembley, and I think it was from Singapore or Thailand. I don't know. I'll move it in a minute and look at the label at the back.
Yeah,
but for me,
for me,
Transformers outside of the toys was about playing this game.
Yeah,
I love this game. My brother and I spent many an hour. I think we started off playing the game and then we were sore losers, so then we ended up fighting. So basically, it was a race. right? It was a race. So everyone started off together. You rolled your dice. You picked your various routes. If you landed on the same square as a competitor, you got to fight. Not hand-to-hand combat really, but with cards, which you would turn over at random. The cards had characters, so and they had scores on them. So you had Motormaster. He was a level 1. Silverbolt was a level 2. Cyclonus a level 3. Randomly, they had Defensor. And then they had Galvatron, who was a 5, but I can't find the Galvatron.
So wait, Galvatron was stronger than Defensor?
Yes.
I believe that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Yeah, I think Galvatron could have taken down Defensor.
You don't think like Defensor would have squashed him like a bug?
Oh, it would have been pretty close. It would have been pretty close.
Not powered up Galvatron. No, Galvatron would have just blown his head off. Defensor was shit anyway.
Said it. Your pieces, you had 4 colors, 3 pieces each. The pieces are transformed into, oh man, this is like
I can't break
plastic. I'm not even transforming it. I'm not doing it. So
wise choice there, Pete. Wise choice.
Pete, your set looks immaculate, by the way.
So this.
So does your hands, Pete.
Thank you.
I've never actually played that game. I look forward to coming around to your house one day and we can have a game.
I bet you do, Andy. I bet you do. Especially after you saw those hands.
And and my honorary mention, just as I promised, I was going full Alexis. Are these.
Nice.
Autobot.
I remember those from TFUK gone.
I was going to come onto the show wearing them, but I thought it would spoil the surprise of foreplay, so I didn't.
So you've gone commando. That's very brave.
Yes,
very cool. You could have put them on your head, mate.
And that is true.
Oh, hang on. No, Pete, we didn't do it properly. And in the red corner.
So.
And in the blue corner.
More tumbleweed.
We need someone. Oh, come on. We need someone else to. There we go. In the blue
right.
corner, it's Andy.
Right. Have somebody muted him?
Yes.
Nope.
Cool. Right. I'm gonna go not full. I'm gonna go partial Rohan. Is that what we're calling it now? Right.
Yeah.
A couple of things. I love the catalogs, but I don't have any of my G1 catalogs to hand. So there's a Transformers Cybertron one from the days when you got really good catalogs and stuff. And then on the other side, you got the. You got like the poster thing that explained the planets and what was happening in the story and all that stuff. Who's my favorite on here?
Yeah.
I'd have to have a look. I think it's probably Sky Shadow. I mean, maybe Optimus Prime, obviously, but
Point.
Love a bit of Sky Shadow. Point.
Oh yeah. You have one of those.
Right, and anyway, there's them. The second thing I'd go for, but I think somebody else probably will go for something similar as well, so I didn't want to go on about them too much, was I haven't got them all out because I just had the ones that I could grab quickly, but the Ladybird books that were mentioned, I've got 2 copies of the movie one, and one is definitely mine because the one that's basically immaculate is mine because I looked after this thing. I never owned a copy of the movie as a child, so this was like my one permanent link to the movie in terms of like a book or something like that. So I love that thing. Absolutely love it. I read it from cover to cover multiple times. And then obviously got the other ones with it. I mean, who doesn't love the Ladybird books with their ridiculous
artwork,
toy accurate drawings and stuff like that? It's just a genius. If you've not experienced them, you've got to. And that's my original Auto Puzzle and Deceptic Quiz book that I got from like many other books.
Quiz. Love it.
Got from when you were at primary school, they used to get little catalogs of books you could buy, and every time I'd look for a Transformers book, I would be gutted when there wasn't one. Anyway, that's where that came from, and that's my original one. And if I look through somewhere, there's probably bits where I've tried to fit it out, but
I've never seen that before.
There's which one's which? Who knows? See if we can figure it out. I love all that shit. In fact, you can tell it's mine because I didn't like drawing in them. Look, I started drawing Megatron, then I rubbed it out because sullying the pages. I am a collector.
We've all done that.
And then, oh god, my handwriting was terrible. Anyway, and then the one that I'd say is the one that means the most to me, probably at the moment. I love them all. Is these, which is my VHS copies of the original movie, which I got as an adult. And one of them I found at a car boot, which I think was that one. Yeah, it was that one. Because the one with the sticker on the front, RJ gave me as a gift at TFN, I think it was, or might be one of the meetups. So I got 2 copies of it on VHS and no video player. But you know, you watch them. You just need to look at the awesome pictures.
I always wish I had the poster of that.
I know that poster. I don't care what anybody. I know they had different posters in Japan, but they got it later anyway. In America, had a different poster which they used as the front cover for one of the DVD releases. That poster, I can just remember. I can remember seeing it around when the movie came out. I remember walking up to the cinema and they had it outside on the big posters outside on the wall, and it probably wasn't even that big a poster, but to me it was, and it was just. I just love it. Absolutely love it. Didn't they give this poster away with the original G1 comic as well? Like either in an actual poster of it or in 2 parts or something. I'm sure I've seen it. Somebody had a copy. Was it Sixo? I think. I'm sure he got one from somewhere. Anyway, yeah. So those would be my kind of memorabilia. Love the catalogs, especially the G1 ones. Just looking at them just brings back so many memories. The books, because it helped. Literally, that's what I loved to read when I was a kid and got me into reading. And then the movie, because it's the fucking movie. If you don't love Transformers the movie, why are you even here? Go home. That's it. That's me.
True say.
Iconic.
Thank you.
Well, basically, the one thing I picked, because it's foreplay with the concept, is to pick one thing.
Well, you say that, but Paul always calls it a top 5.
I've got one more to add.
I mean, we've only been doing it now for nearly 3 years and a bit, so I could understand why some people are slow in the pickup, especially when we've got an old person on board tonight. But who's showing us these boxer shots? That's good, old man. That's nice. For all your dreams.
Well, return, John, Jamie.
But
beefcake, follow your dreams.
What I decided to pick, and probably what represents basically the thing I collect, as well as my Transformer toys or articulated models, is basically the media, the comics, the annuals. And I think one thing it represents that is the Covenant of Primus. And yes, I mean, what I used to love, and what this reminds me of when I read this, is when you used to get the Transformers annuals as a kid every Christmas. You get the Transformers annual, and you would have the comic script, and you would have some games. But I used to love the stories you would have inside. You know, it was just basically, it wasn't a comic strip. It was like a short little story with maybe some pictures. And I remember one of the stories standing out was of Megatron being a gladiator. And it kind of reminds me of this when I was starting to read Covenant of the Prime. You know, it's like all these sort of stories you used to have as a kid, basically getting put into a sort of massive book. And for some people, you'll be happy to know it does have pictures, so you're okay.
I'm happy.
Especially if the words scare you. But yes, I mean, when you think about it, when Transformers the comic first came out, and on my Instagram account right now, I've been going through each issue of Transformers the comics. I've started issue 1, and I think I'm up to issue 26 right now, where I just sort of post a picture of my collection of Transformer comics. Is that they were very word heavy, because I think they just didn't know what they were doing actually when it came to Transformers lore and Transformers comics. So it was very word heavy. They were basically speaking to adults. You know, there wasn't talking down. It wasn't sharp, fast comments. It was lots of dialogue. So basically trying to set the scene, build the universe, and they didn't know what they were doing. Basically, and like most of the time, the artists didn't know what they were doing. So I think it was trying to inform the artists as well. The scripts were quite heavy, all just basically building up this picture. But yes, Transformer comics, Transformers media, all the way through the ages till today, and hopefully we'll get a new comic getting launched soon.
Jamie.
Yes,
I remember when you were on the edge about buying. You didn't come in like a big
great choice
box, or like you came in like it's not just Covenant of the Primes is a whole pack, isn't it? You get like something else with it. I thought it was a book, and like it's like a case and other bits.
Oh yeah, it comes with a transforming case, yes, and it opens up. You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I was just picking really one thing, and I wanted to focus on the media.
There's a little dig.
Special shout out to the collections.
Can I just give a shout out to all the little minifigures out there?
And you said when you bought it, you were so
Look at
happy.
And remember, it was a transforming thing as well. And
I've got the definitive collection as well. That
I'm
just
going to stick to the rules.
When you bought it, you were so happy because you said, as you said, it's all those mini stories, and you said like every story was like it just gave a little bit of like imagination because it didn't end the story, so your imagination took over, which is what I love about the whole those mini stories. It's like it's so much that gives you enough inspiration to then make your own story behind it, and then go on to the next one. It's phenomenal. I don't have that, and I envy you sincerely for that. I really want that. So, oh, my turn.
Yeah.
Share my photograph. Sorry.
Okay.
So I'm very similar to Jamie. I'm inspired by the comics. I didn't pick the comics from Marvel because everyone does that. But these are a homage to the Marvel comics. This is Hatchet Books, and Hatchet Books did 100 versions. They were originally going to do 80 versions, and I didn't do this originally. So my amazing wife did this for me, and it's basically it's 80 books, but then they extend it to 100 because they encompass the IDW books as well. And it's like it goes from episode 1 of the G1 comics all the way through, and it comes in this lovely display. So you can see here, you've got the comic book on the left hand side here, or the hard version. And how you display it, it's 100 books. And it tells the story of the G1 comics. Then again goes through and does all the IDW comics as well, all the way to the end. So for me, I'm down here. I'm down here still.
It stops at the.
Done with everything. I'm also
reading as well the IDW hardback versions as well, which are very good. I buy them from Penguin. I think that they're in phase 2 now or phase 3. So I'm up to like where Overlord does something again. Don't spoil a bit, but it's really interesting. So, but I find the hardbacks are quite an interesting way to read it because it does give you like a little like the one thing I do appreciate is you get a little bookmark so you can mark your page. You can just put that. You go, oh yeah, I'm in there. I'll go there. I struggle with reading personally because I have a sleeping condition, and when I read, I fall asleep. Unfortunately, it's a weird thing. So, no, truth.
Really?
So, yeah, really. Sincerely, I do actually.
This explains a lot.
I have a sleeping condition, so I'll explain more offline. So, anyway, but I love,
especially when drunk.
Yeah, I was going to say.
When I'm drunk and I start reading, I always fall asleep.
This isn't about my conditions, all right? Come on, right?
He never falls asleep when he's talking, though, does he?
Never.
Never. No.
Read out loud, Alexis.
No. Good idea, Andy.
Subtitles his enemy in movies.
Mine is the fact that they've actually brought these back, and they brought them back enough that people want them, right? Now I have a hard copy version of these. So my comics in the loft, right? I still have those, like as probably Jamie does, like in the individual like seal cases and like they're tucked away, like they're very precious, right? But this potentially is a way to actually give back to future communities as well. And we have a bookshelf, so it's on the bookshelf. So I'm sure one day the kids will go, "Oh, what's this?" They won't.
You're making it sound like a nature reserve.
Actually,
Bear Grylls comes by.
To be fair, with the fact that digital media doesn't necessarily sometimes actually belong to you, even though you're purchased, and because of stealth, editing and censorship and changing things, physical media is probably a way to preserve what was then and how these stories were told back then. So yes, it would be interesting for future generations to look back, because who knows what we'll be like in 20 years from now, because you can't imagine the conversations we're having now happening 20 years prior. So in the future, who knows?
That's an excellent
So-
point. Although Alexis will just stick all of his up in the loft. So
Well,
no
do you know,
can find
fair
it.
play to Alexis. He's the only fucker who did foreplay properly tonight, and that was fucking Alexis. You know,
He downloaded a photo.
I apologise for my language. But seriously, fucking Andy, Rohan, and Pete, liberties. I know. Anyway, we're off to
Calm down,
discussion time. And discussion, well, actually, we'll just play the ad for.
We now return to the Transformers.
Okay, you tight bastard. What's this discussion about, Rohan?
Isn't it? It's totally apt.
Coming from the Scot.
Right. So tonight's
see-
discussion. I thought it would be cool to talk about what we would like to see from the new entry-level item in Transformers. So, you know, if we look back at the past, in the 1980s, we had the smaller figures, we had things like the Micro Masters, we had mini-bots, etc., and more recently, we've had things like the Legends class, we've had Minicons in Armada Unicron trilogies, we've had the Core class at the moment, and Battle Masters and all those sorts of good things. Yes.
Are we counting fair party?
No, we're not counting third
No,
party.
it's Hasbro.
Only
That's
Hasbro.
why-
Yeah.
Actual real Transformers.
Yeah, get out. So, so my question was, what would
See you next
everybody
week.
like? Yeah, see you, mate. My question was, what would everybody like to see from the new entry-level price point for the next toy line, which comes out after Legacy Evolution? Because it seems to me like the Battle Masters for Rise of the Beast is doing really well, and I quite like that look and aesthetic feel of a figure that transforms into a weapon, which they've basically taken from Action Masters, right? Generation 1. And also the Legends class, third-party stuff is doing really well, and you know, core class is doing quite well, so we can't obviously have both. So what would you all like to see?
I just want to say one thing, you know, to launch this off. I would say what I would like is an entry class, you know, into the franchise would be to have things which add to the Transformer toys. You know, we've had those Battle Masters. I would like human figures, small human figures. It doesn't even have to have that much articulation, but it would be awesome if they did. Minor articulation and other accessories like, I don't know, canisters, etc., you know, cubes, energon cubes, all those sort of things that third parties tend to do. You know, the gun from the Mountain Skyfire Mountain or Fire in the Sky, you know, stuff like that. That would be awesome if they could start to go around all the lore, the comics as well, and the cartoons, and start picking accessories out of there. And I would love that. And even stuff that can be built up into a base eventually. I think that would be awesome. You know how when Marvel releases its figures, it sometimes comes with a part which can be built into something else, something like that. And I think that's, you know, a good starting point from my perspective.
Amazing idea, suggestion. I love it. I'd love to see more for play sets. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I think, you know, if you look back to
Hey, he's going to steal your next part, Jamie, which is we should all be able to 3D print them at home in the future.
Exactly. That's what it is.
To your elders. Go on, Pete. You go ahead.
During the war, I think if you look at what gave the toys, you know, initially, even up to Action Masters, the playability, I think was a simplistic. I know we're talking about articulation and the fact that mini masterpieces, etc. But I think if you look at the other toy lines that are still flourishing, you know, the brands, I don't know, Paw Patrol, etc. It's still simplistic, right? And they're still and the Paw Patrols of the world are going after the toy, the age range that we were when we started playing with Transformers. And there's an element of simplisticness about it. You know, do you want to get? How are you going to get an 8-year-old into, I don't know, Legacy Blitzwing? Well, you know, it's like 30. My brother's got a 6-year-old. He spends more time being able to transform the toys than his son does.
Yeah.
there's no all the articulation and the fact the engineering that goes in, and that all commands a decent price point, but they're for us.
But could I interject here? Because aren't you the person who likes this sort of green Irish vegan hair?
What?
Buckill hair, isn't it? The green vegan Irish,
You don't get any more simplistic.
You've seen how simplistic they are, Jamie.
You liked that, but that whole toy line crashed and burned, and so did the cartoon, even though a lot of talent went into that. So I don't know, are you the right person?
The theme song was kind
discussing
of
this?
catchy.
Yeah, exactly. No,
I actually loved it. I don't know how it failed.
I don't like
good,
attitude.
they weren't good.
If I may just add to what Pete said and say the word I would use there is playability. And like you said, it comes down to the simplistic nature. And Andy said this before on the show, picking up a figure like a G1 figure, you can just transform it without thinking about it. You don't need that muscle memory that me and Alexis were talking about with the masterpiece figures, because you've got 500 steps to go through. You literally just go boom, 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 done. Happy days. Enjoy it. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Then create a battle out of it. That's sorry, that's me. I'm going on a bit of a rant this week.
Can I add my 2 cents? I just don't think there's anything wrong with any of the Hasbro figures generally. Generally, like most of them are pretty good, right?
They'll be pleased to hear that.
There are some niggles. There are some niggles.
We're talking about entry point figures.
Yeah, there are some niggles. Or like see across. Okay, so my view isn't across entry, but it's across all figures. Is just complete the figure.
Not about the discussion at all. Oh, that's okay.
No, Jamie, it's entry point, but it needs to be. If you're gonna do this at entry point, it will then domino effect.
Jamie's entry point.
So, okay, fine. So fill the fucking gaps in.
It's
right?
getting very sexual tonight.
Okay, Jamie.
Are you talking about gap fillers for the bigger figures? Because that's okay.
No, for the entry level figures. I'm talking about.
What little kid's gonna go? Oh, I really fancy it.
Hold on, Jap.
My pocket money and buy it.
At least it fulfills the brief. Then we could say he's stuck to the brief.
Not gonna happen.
There are some figures. So I got the Star Scream off of Graham at TFU on, right? The Tetrajet.
Bring back Rocklaws? No.
That's not an entry level.
I was very amazed at how complete it was.
Rock.
And it was like it had waist level, and there were okay, correct me if I'm wrong. A Tetrajet Seeker from Siege, right? No gaps, right? The figure is complete end to end. It's amazing.
It's a shell former, but yeah, I suppose
it's a shell.
It's also a Voyager class figure, mate.
It should be, right?
It's not really entry level.
No,
it's nearly 30 quid nowadays.
What? I got it for a beer. What?
No, for
reaching.
That's an
People have not heard from Andy. Andy, what would you like to add to this discussion?
I think everybody's made some very pertinent points, even to a certain extent, Alexis. I
remember we have American viewers. Could you explain what pertinent means?
Pertinent, good, basically. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna I'll probably be boring. I've probably said this before. I'd go back to Micromasters because I just think when I was a kid, getting a set of 4 Micromasters was brilliant. You got a whole team, for Christ's sake, and they were quick Transformers. Well, the one thing I'll say about the cheap Transformers that are aimed at little kids nowadays is they tend to be a really cheap feeling toy, because I bought them for my children and they feel like crap. They don't feel like the toys that we would collect as, mainline collectors, especially not as third-party collectors. I think third-party wouldn't survive if they were putting that shit out. But then, as a kid, I just remember, it's like you could get a pack of 4 of these, right? Brilliant. Great fun. Or if you're really lucky, you had a few extra quid, or your parents were feeling generous, you could get the little transport ones. Oh, they were great, because you had a little base, and you had your little erector baby. But then, if you were really flush...
Mate... All right,
you get a base as well, and I just
Andy,
think
that's not the entry point. You've just went off Alexis.
Oh, it was going so well. I think you'll find my point was you could build up, and the thing with the Micromasters was they messed them up almost by wanting to make them looking at adult collectors. We want posability. We want all the ball joints. We want to be able to do this and the other. And actually, what that did to the toys was it made them just fall apart a lot of the time.
I think it was a gun mechanic when he tried to combine them to make a gun. That's when they went, what
one question,
what
Andy.
Gimmicks, isn't it?
Look,
do those Micromasters have any gap issues?
Turn them round. Can electors look at the rear
Can I
end?
just say, I don't think you find too many. I've never met any kind of like 6 or 7 year olds who go, bit gappy.
There's a gap over there. Daddy, it's got a gap over there.
Take it back. I demand
Okay,
legends.
while I was 6 and 7, there was a lot of gaps. So now I've grown up a lot.
I knew that was coming. Yeah, but so what would you consider what would you consider the ethos about this change in entry point for Hasbro? Is it just to try to get kids involved, encouraging them to spend their pocket money? Because maybe with the other toys, which are like Legacy, they're aimed at the adult collector more and more now, and now they're trying to think, what about the kids? We want to start building up.
Do you know what? You're often seeing with the new. Sorry, was that me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're echoing because you haven't got your headphones on.
Oh no, I haven't. Okay, right. So you're often
I haven't.
see, right? The new. So remember, you like scan this, right, and get this the augmented reality. Scan this and do this, right? I think that if you're trying to engage a new audience, you want to engage technology. So how can you engage something that, and again, they have devices. How can you make it more interactive? What would make you want to interact with a Transformer?
You make a good point, though, about the fact that young people nowadays, they want that whole interactive. Everybody's on phones, everybody was on mobiles, tablets, computer games, whatever. Kids they're not growing up like we did, where it was all about the toys and your imagination, and then the gaming stuff came afterwards, didn't it? I mean, what year was the NES? Was that like 86?
9?
7?
It was definitely time a bit teenage men.
No, it was before the 90s, mate. It was in the 80s. Yeah, the NES, the original. Nintendo came out about probably about 1991, and then Mega Drive and all that stuff.
Well,
that gaming became,
it came out in the mid 80s because remember you had like Super Mario, and then you also had Zelda, and then you had that notoriously hard Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game.
Oh
yeah, that was an absolute.
I think one thing we have to realize, as much as we like to maybe be a bit disparaging and stuff like that about Hasbro, etc., is that Hasbro is a big, huge multinational company, and right now, the decision makers and the fan base they really listen to is America. The American fans out there, especially that new generation that's coming up, because we are relics. We're almost 1 foot in the grave as far as Hasbro's concerned. They're going to try and milk us for as much as they can. But they're the ones who have got the voice. They're the ones that they're interested in. And we've talked about that Revenge of the Fallen, not Revenge of the Fallen, Return of the Beast, Rise of the Beast.
Yeah.
That to them, that's a new launchpad of getting new customers in. Now we're talking about, is it continuing Bayverse? Does it like to be? They don't care. They literally don't care. They might throw some Easter eggs or whatever, but as far as new kids coming to that, to them it's a new franchise almost. And the thing is, they'll go back and might look at the original Transformer Bayverse and think, oh my god, I'll stick to the new stuff.
He's got his hand up.
I've one observation from what you just said there, which you linked me onto, which you wouldn't have done. Sorry, I wouldn't have made if it wasn't for your point there. Hasbro obviously owned Jurassic Park. If you remember the Jurassic Park dinosaur, you pull the back up of them, you scan the code, and it tells you about dinosaur. Remember that?
Yeah,
I remember that. And then you remember how the rub symbols on all Transformers as well. What if you had something which actually allowed you to actually like scan the Transformer and then learn about it, or rub it and scan
it?
You
did.
Like, and then
Transformers RID 2015, they had symbols on the smaller toys for the younger kids, and if you scanned it with your phone, it would take you to the website and you'd find out about the character. So it's an idea they've explored before. It's a good idea.
Oh, okay.
But for some reason, whatever reason, they haven't really gone back to it.
That was my idea. If you build upon that, I think that is a sort. I think then potentially ahead of its time, because not everyone had smartphones in the same way. Now you can scan a QR code quite easily. Like you scan your QR code when you go Wagamama's, right? To pay the fucking bill. So it's like.
But I don't think it's about reinventing the wheel. You've only got to go into something like Smith's. All right, Smith's isn't full of interactive toys.
No.
You know, it's still full of with toys similar to what we would have had. They haven't reinvented the wheel.
Oh, come on, steady on there, mate. We all from different decades now.
Spinning wheel.
I think
Pete,
maybe
this is the 1920s. Let him talk.
I think maybe just because Hasbro can make these mini masterpieces because of the engineering and because of, I guess, the skill sets and the technology we have now, doesn't mean they need to. Just because you could doesn't mean they should. And I think with the core class, maybe that is them dipping the toe in the water in terms of if you're 6 or 7, why do you want to take out 10-15 minutes to transform a toy mid game session? You don't.
Exactly.
We never did. You want to flick it, change, and carry on with your story. And I think they're shutting off a whole section of the.
Do you think if young boys were to take more time playing with their Transformers, they might improve foreplay in adulthood?
What you mean on this show where you only do one thing?
Are you trying to replace?
Assuming that's what you mean.
I think he's
Jamie.
trying to replace.
We certainly wouldn't be linking small children.
I can't answer.
That's not a way we
developing.
Asking the big questions. We all want to know.
We talked about muscle memory.
No.
We talked about
muscle memory.
We talked earlier. Muscle
no.
memory. All right. It's about
memory.
dexterity.
No.
It's about building it young.
I just got one thing to say to Pete, and Pete, you made a great point there. There's only one issue, and that's that Smiths don't carry the entry-level price point for Transformers. They don't.
But they don't because they don't make money off them, do they? That's the thing.
Well,
they
that's true.
Making the money off them. That's why they don't sell them.
How do Hasbro incentivize? Because I find it difficult. I don't know about you guys. Obviously, the Entertainer carry these lines, and small mom and pop shops, independents do. But otherwise, it's hard to get hold of them. Other than obviously your In-Demands and Kapows and the likes.
My idea would be I think kind of Alexis going back and reinventing the wheel, and sometimes releasing something they've also done might work at a later stage, because it might have just been too early, the original idea for it to take place. Now everyone's got apps and phones, and it's a lot much better. I mean, you talk about the internet. The internet's still not really a household thing in most households, but it's really popular now. But it didn't really start to become a thing until about 2007, really, when it started to really take off. And we sometimes think it's been there for ages, and it's not. And it's really progressed a lot, especially during lockdown. But my idea would be like a Pokemon type game, which is linked to the toy. So you buy your cheap toy, and then you scan it, just like Nintendo does with its little figures. And you suddenly got the digital version of that as well. And you can train it, use it to fight other kids. The kids can come up with their phones connected, and fight with the toys that they're collecting and train them up. And it can have different evolutions as well, because the imagination is what is basically holding them back. And I think if they can connect that well and make it work, just like Nintendo have, and basically just copy Nintendo's game plan, and it was especially working in a lot of like Asian countries, I think they'll be off to a flying start.
How many Transformers were there in the original G1 lineup, like season 1 and 2? Don't
just 4.
Not as many as you think, actually.
Was it about 18?
Let me get my screen. Let me get my spreadsheet up.
Whilst Rohan's doing that, Charlie, you should have trademarked your idea. Because Jamie's just stolen it as his own.
Well, listen, I was just thinking, before Jamie said that, I was thinking something very similar, which is Pokemon. Yes, 100% agree with that. Tamagotchi. Remember when that was a big thing? If we were
to alive.
Yeah, keep your Transformer alive, fight them, battle them, combine them together. Combine the two elements.
We bought our children Tamagotchis. They last 4 hours. The kids.
Yeah, okay. No, forget the hardware. Forget the hardware. Forget the physical hardware. Use it on the phone, right? Exactly as you've all said. Everybody wants to do it on the phone, so you have the concept on the phone. Just make it an app.
But don't you think we're all missing a trick here? Because if you actually look at what a lot of kids are into, and when you work in primary school, you see it all the time. The amount of them that are obsessed with like blind bag things where they don't know what they're getting, and it's a gamble, and they watch all these YouTubers who literally all their videos is just opening these fecking things and go, "Oh my god, I got this thing!"
But that's illegal in some countries, isn't it? So suddenly straight away they'll be closed off.
Andy,
the blind bags.
Andy,
yeah, because it becomes
because
it's because
Andy,
it's Alexis, just let me. Yeah, that's illegal, Andy, in some countries, especially when you think about Australia and Germany, where they don't want to introduce gambling or anything.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Or perceived as gambling. Well, sometimes what they wait for the poor company to launch a thing. Then a couple of months later, go, yep, you've got to give it all the money back and we're going to fine you. So a lot of companies are a bit hesitant. It's to do with games like with loot boxes. Where you're buying loot and you don't know what's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So, you've got to be able to buy specifically what you want.
So I was disagreeing with the fact that that's what the kids are into. So my kids are into, so they play things like Roblox or Minecraft, and what they're into is the collaboration around. They want to meet their friends online and then build something together. They want to like or create. So they created like a burger van the other day. They said to me, "Oh, Dad, yeah, my iPad van. We've got an important business meeting to go to." I'm like, really?
You said important there, right?
Yeah, that's what
I said. It really sounded like you said porn. But
they're
just here for the funky music.
Recreating scenes and things that they're doing, right?
Anyway,
so maybe the next Hasbro thing, right, isn't about like toys. It's the virtual system, right? Where they create their own Transformers.
Yeah, that's gaming.
They create their own Megatron Optimus Prime universe, right? They're there, and it's political. So we often see Transformers new universes created, like IDW or the Netflix thing. Like it's new politics, new universes, right? Maybe they are a player in that universe. Maybe they're creating their own character and they're evolving and they're shaping the universe of Transformers indirectly from their actions through their friends, and it's a collective.
You can't do that with a core class.
No, you can't. That's shit.
We're talking about entry-level toys rather than high-level games.
You've ended up over here. We're here.
I think one of the important aspects is maybe we forget from our perspective is that entry-level toys, if it had an educational aspect, the parents and the grandparents would be buying it. So anything like, talking about, certain groups of people, certain things in science, certain demographics, because I think an important thing is I know there was a lot of discussion on Twitter by some idiot who seemed to take umbrage at the fact that there was a non-binary character, in Transformers cartoon. And you think,
it always happens.
Yeah, it's a fucking robot. Of course, it could be non-binary. It doesn't matter. But the point is, he's saying, "Oh, it's not the point of a cartoon to teach things." And I said, "Well, that's the whole point of cartoons. Is usually selling products and teaching things. It's literally what they're there for, and it always has been."
I like the blue.
No, could you let me just finish my point? So that would be really awesome, which was really hard to do now because you just took this. But anyway, so. As I was trying to say, I think that's a thing we can do. We can link that because that's the sort of like point of these cartoons is to teach and encourage children, because we can't leave it always to the parents. We can't always leave it to teachers. Some countries are completely different, and sometimes the only introduction to that is by that merchandise. And you can see that in games. For example, when the Eastern Bloc was up, America and Western countries were happy to, give bootleg stuff of films and TV, to these countries behind Iron Curtain, to introduce them to sort of different concepts and different ways of life and to educate them and to show them what's out there. And sometimes it's not about representation of that individual, but it's to increase your empathy. So when you do meet an individual who's different, you can realize they're actually not that different at all. And you can emphasize them even better. And sometimes I think we forget about that. We always think it's about that person in that group. No, actually, sometimes it's about you, and it's about helping you and introducing you to something different. So I think that's what I think about entry level. Make it education-wise and go in there.
Very good. Share some comments, mate. I was just going to say that is everyone watch Bluey. Bluey. Watch Bluey.
Oh, don't bring up Bluey again.
Yeah, literally.
There's a very good bit, right? Where, whoa, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Oh no, it's Dougie. Sorry, it was
Dougie's awesome.
Bluey's an Australian dog. Made by BBC. It's educates parents. It's very funny. And there's a bit where the parents are putting together a swing seat, and the dad, who is an absolute legend and is one of the main draws of the show, right?
This is related to what we're discussing, right?
Apparently.
Yes. You're not just telling us about an episode of Bluey.
Yeah.
He's going to show it to us later.
Because Jamie mentioned it. He looks at a picture of the instructions.
I apologize.
And he
looks at a picture of what?
The
instructions. Right.
Okay. He goes, I'm not taking instructions from a cartoon dog.
Stay with us, Pete.
Because Jamie said, I'm not taking instructions.
Thank you for joining us. We'll have more from Alexis's children's story time later.
Your quiz rocked, Alexis. Don't let anyone see any.
It's really good. Don't ruin the legacy.
No, Jamie said he wasn't taking instructions from a cartoon, and the cartoon dog says, I'm not taking instructions from myself, which was
okay.
Moving on.
Okay.
To answer your question,
it was
from
a
earlier,
fun
Alexis,
story. That's the
182 Transformers from Generation 1, roughly. If we're just talking about 182, roughly.
Do you know what, Jamie?
From Generation 1. Do you mean Season 1 or do you mean all G1?
I thought he asked for Season 1.
I'm just. Oh, did you ask for Season 1?
Generation 1. So does that include the Target Masters and Headmasters, or did you count them as one?
Wait,
no, I counted them as one.
Rohan,
it doesn't count then.
I didn't count every single toy. I counted every single character.
Sentient beings count, Rohan. That's the whole point of our discussion.
Hey, hang on. Let me add them in.
The rules. No. How many? What was that? Season 1 and 2, he says.
No, Season 1 to 4.
No, the whole thing.
Oh,
hang on. Are you just talking about the cartoon?
And you count Beast Wars as well, because Beast Wars is G1, Rohan.
Oh, now we're getting into it.
If anyone's still with us, thanks for watching. Really appreciate
I would
your
like to
support.
apologise for Rohan's inaccurate information.
Let's wrap up.
You know it's bad when Pete's having to ask the audience.
Jamie, wrap the fuck up, right? Hurry up.
Thanks for
Do you know what? Technically,
please like, share,
and subscribe. This is a conversation for another day.
I did get.
Don't share it. Don't share this. Don't share this.
For more insightful Transformers chat. This is like Triple Takeover, but there's 5 of us, and this is bollocks. What they do doesn't tend to be like that.
On the spectrum, they're here. We're here.
Oh, I think there's a lot of us on the spectrum right now. All right, what we got left? Are we done?
Nothing.
I can hear an echo again.
Yeah, right?
Who's freaking hell, Alexis?
Who do you think it is?
Every time.
It's Alexis's echo. It helps him sleep at night.
When he's reading.
Is anyone here? Oh, good. But,
Is that when Sam kicks him off into the couch?
Not the cupboard tonight. No.
Where he sleeps with the Thunder Tank.
Thunder Divorce.
Sorry, Lost. It has been renamed. Get that graffitied on the side, but really small. I think that's everything.
Yeah, to be honest,
out of the misery.
I think people are dying of desperation.
Clearly, the numbers went up for a second.
I'm having a fantastic night, but just before we go, let's see if we can get this cut.
Give myself
So I just want to say
What the
thank you
fuck
for
is that?
That's
thank
the
you for
awesomest thing ever. And
thank
yeah.
you for joining us tonight. It's been an honor and it's been a pleasure. Megan, I'm really sorry they put me up there. I love you. I
been
love
nice
you
knowing
so
you,
much.
Yeah.
Don't leave me.
You look great in the coffin with that black beard.
And
Whitehead,
congratulations to Robot Cop 2, who won Sixels competition. So he's got a
Yay, go on,
coming. So fantastic. But guys,
wait.
thank you.
Just before you finish, sorry. I forgot to say this. Promised Moff I would. Newcastle in the Champions League. Suck it, Mick. Thank you. Anyway, have a good night, everyone. See you later, people.
One buys you success.
One money all the way,
Remember that.
baby.
Right.
Champions League, baby.